Hi, this is Lara at Elliott Wave Stock Market with your daily analysis for the S&P 500 for the trading session dated Wednesday the 21st of September. I'm recording this video now 5 to 9 in the evening New York time on the 21st. This is our daily chart for the S&P. Our main wave count expects that we're now within a third wave of a third wave, with downwards movement below 1188, this point down here to a new low. Our alternates, which expected further downwards movement, were confirmed and our main hourly wave count was invalidated. So at that point I expect we've had the end of a zigzag with a truncated C wave for 2 black. The subdivisions for this wave count all fit perfectly. If this is correct, then we're in a third wave at intermediate degree within a primary third wave. We've just begun on the strongest part of downwards movement, which should probably take price a lot lower, and our target at this early stage is 834.74. If price moves below this trend channel on the daily chart, we'll have confirmation of this trend change. We shouldn't expect any movement above 1220.39. No second wave correction within the third wave may move beyond the start of the first. The implications for this wave count are pretty severe. It's expecting a market crash to pick up steam in following days. Taking you to our hourly wave count for this, we're the low for wave 1 black down here. Is this point down here. Here's our 5, 3, 5 with a truncated C wave, zigzag complete for wave 2 black. I like this wave count for the subdivisions. This piece of movement here is much more satisfactory than the alternate, as is this piece of movement in here. It's much more satisfactory. The only problem I have with this is this A wave has a bit of a 3-wave look, as does the C wave. So apart from that, the subdivisions all fit perfectly, and there are some great Fibonacci ratios in here. I've checked this piece of movement on a 15-minute chart. I think this is where a first wave has ended. There's a nice impulse from this high to this low. We have an expanded flat correction for a small second wave, and now the strongest part of this movement is a third wave, and it's still a little bit incomplete. It should move lower, and at 1156.88 it will reach 1.618, the length of wave 1 green. Following that, we'll have a small fourth wave correction which may not move into wave 1 price territory above 1193.66. This wave count will be confirmed, or at least a trend change will be confirmed, when we see price move below 1136.07. At that point, with a new low below here, an alternate wave count, which I'll go to next, would be invalidated. So let's have a look at the alternate, where it's all the same to this point here. And then instead of wave 2 black being a single zigzag, this is the idea that it's a double zigzag again. So we have a zigzag up. The first double of the 2 zigzags is labelled W blue, joined by a 3 in the opposite direction. Here we have a 5-wave impulse up for A, and we may be working on a B wave downwards. Now it is possible that this wave count's correct. I don't like seeing this piece of movement as a 5th wave of an A wave. Perhaps we'd be expecting an A wave to be lower. That might actually be a better way to look at this, although considering the amount of movement and the amount of room for downwards movement for this B wave, that would be the way that you'd want to label it initially. Either way, B pink, because A is a 5-wave structure, B may not move beyond its start below 1136.07. That's the differentiating point between our 2 wave counts today. If price moved above 1193.66, then this alternate hourly wave count would be confirmed. At that point, we'd expect price to move higher. We'd have to have the B wave finished first. If price moves above this point and we have the end of the B wave, then I can calculate a target for the C wave for you. Because we don't know where B ends, we can't calculate the target for C. Suffice to say, it's most likely to make a new high beyond the end of W, because if 2 black is a double zigzag, its primary purpose is to deepen the correction, and so it needs to make a new high above this point. So the invalidation point is the same as it was on the daily chart yesterday. This is an alternate idea which I've mentioned but not charted before on the daily chart, and I want to chart it today really just to show why I don't think it's a very viable wave count. I only want to really seriously consider it if the downwards movement that we're expecting for our main wave count lacks the momentum that we're expecting from a third wave of a third wave. If it's choppier and more hesitant, then this may be a viable alternate. This wave count is the same here, 1, 2 and 3 up to this point here, and thereafter it differs. Instead of 4 being over here, it may have been A, B, C, a zigzag for 4 over here, and this is where 5 begins of wave 1 black down. So wave 1 black hasn't even finished for this wave count. My biggest problem is from this high to this low, we have to see this piece of movement as a B wave. It has to be seen as a zigzag, and the subdivisions don't fit as well as seeing it as a 5-wave structure, and overall the look of it just is wrong for a zigzag. The other problem I have with it now is if we had a 4th wave overshoot of this parallel channel drawn here using Elliott's technique, I would expect once the 5th wave begun for price to re-enter the channel and conform to this upper trend line, pretty much remain within the channel and not have this huge continuing overshoot for a 2nd wave correction. And the 2nd wave correction really has lasted quite a long time for such a small wave degree. So there's a few problems with this wave count. However, it's expecting also downwards movement, so there's no divergence in the direction we're expecting, it's just the momentum which is going to differ. If it lacks momentum, this is going to be a viable alternate. Our target for this is 5 blue reaching 0.618, the length of 3 at 1079.02. Were it to only reach equality with 1, that would see a 5th wave truncation. That's unlikely. The invalidation point is at 1230.71. Any further upwards movement for wave 2 pink may not move beyond the start of the 1st wave. I'm going to have a look at this piece of movement here quickly on a 5-minute chart. First of all, looking at it as a 3-wave structure is labelled here for wave B pink. From this high here to a low just off to the left, to the right of the chart, which I can pull in a moment, we're trying to see this downwards movement as a 3-wave structure. So wave B pink has to subdivide at green degree into an ABC zigzag. This is a nice impulse here for A. Here we have a nice zigzag here for B. And C starts here with a very short, brief 1st and 2nd wave. This is a 3rd wave here, and this is the problem I have with this wave count. From this high to this low in the 5-minute chart, it looks pretty obviously a 3-wave structure, which is how our main wave count is counting it. Also, although it is seen as a 3rd wave of a C wave, so we're seeing a 3rd wave as the strongest part here, for our main wave count, this very strong downwards movement is seen as a 3rd of a 3rd wave, which really does fit a lot better. So if we scan over to the right, this is where it ends down here. So we had within C green 1, 2, 3, a long flat correction for 4, and an ending contracting diagonal for 5, where each of the subwaves is a zigzag. This is satisfactory because here we're seeing this as a triangle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with 3 being slightly below 1 and 4 being ever so slightly below 3. So this all, for this piece of movement, fits really well. However, if we're trying to see it as a 5-wave structure, and this is the end of 4 blue here, this is our main wave count, the subdivisions actually fit much, much better. Here we have an impulse for 1, a zigzag for 2, a 3rd wave with a strong extended 3rd wave in the middle of it. This is much more satisfactory, seeing this as a 3rd wave of a 3rd wave, and now we're counting this piece of movement here as a correction, as it should be. Here's a flat for 4, everything else thereafter is the same except for the degree of labelling. 5 is an ending contracting diagonal with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The subdivisions here fit absolutely perfectly. So that's why I don't want to see this downwards movement as a 5th wave within wave 1 blue. I think wave 1 black, within 1 black. I think 1 black ended earlier with a truncated 5th as our main wave count shows, and we've just had another truncation on the opposite direction. There's a lot of downwards pressure on the S&P, and if this 3rd wave of this 3rd wave is strong enough, that could have forced wave C to be truncated. If momentum increases to the downside in the next couple of days and we have movement below that trend channel, that wave count will be confirmed and will be in a 3rd wave. That's all for me today with your S&P analysis, and I hope that you're all having a great day.